exchange of reasons. Argumentation. Argumentation, we have exchange of reasons. Among two or more than two participants. I mean, you can also imagine an internal argumentation where you divide your own self into two. But that's a special case of minimal argumentation, which occurs where at least two people are needed. So in argumentation, people exchange reasons. Exchange reasons for or against something. So this something is your object of your argumentations. But those reasons make sense only those reasons make sense and they are convincing or unconvincing based on background assumptions which are shared by all the participants. So you have participants in argumentation. So they raise reasons and counter reasons. But these reasons and counter reasons make sense, or they understand those, these participants understand those reasons, and they make sense to them. And based on that sense, they are convincing or unconvincing, because these participants share a background. So for example, they speak the same language, they come from the same social background of society or life world, where there is a broad agreement on things, and even disagreements can be understood only based on that broad agreement. So that background assumptions provide the context in which any argumentation occurs. Without that context, there can be no argumentation. We would have to start from zero, and so we would have to actually build that background in order for us to engage in any meaningful argumentation or any meaningful communication. So when people engage in argumentation, and when they put forth reasons and counter reasons, so either those counter reasons are convincing based on the background assumptions, which is taken for granted background assumption among these participants. So as long as they're convincing for them in the context of that background, those arguments are unproblematic. Those reasons are unproblematic. Now, if for whatever reasons those reasons or some of those reasons become problematic, like they are not convincing for sufficient number of participants, then they move from being unproblematic to problematic. So they actually become part of the conversation. Before that, you were actually basing your conversation on that unproblematic assumption. But if one of those assumptions is become problematic, then they jump from background into foreground and become the foreground, and then they become the part of or the object of conversation. And that's how it continues. As long as there is enough background assumptions which remain unproblematic, you have a chance, or you have an opportunity to continue your conversation, and you are able to resolve your issues based on that background assumption. And if one of them or some of them become problematic, you can resolve them based on the remaining unproblematic assumptions. Okay, and if some of the background, enough of the sufficient portion of the background become problematic, then society is in a crisis of some sort. So that might require some sort of reform or change or even revolution, depending on the situation. So this is my understanding of argumentation. So some of it